The Course uses this wonderful analogy where it says if a baby was holding on to a scissor and thought that it was its salvation, a loving parent would take the scissor away from the baby. Because what do we know? Well, that's why we make child-proof scissors, right? So kids, when they start to learn that they're not going to poke their eyes out. Well, if a baby's holding a real pair of scissors in their hand, what would a parent do? Would you say, oh, if I take it away from them, they'll scream and they'll be upset? No, you'd say, well, of course you take it away from them, because years later, if you let them poke their eye out, then years later, the child says to you, why don't you take the scissors away from me? Oh, I didn't want to go against your will. Oh, come on. If something, and that's what the Course is trying to get us to recognize. Look, when it talks about extensions of a call for love, that's very physical. We can see that manifestation, but it's saying, what do you do? What would you have me do? Well, the most loving thing. And the loving thing has nothing to do with what may look, you think, loving. If someone has a gun, you probably need to get out of the way. If someone has a gun, you might need to call the police and say, someone has a gun and that gun needs to be taken away from them before they hurt someone else. Because when they hurt someone else, who do they really hurt? Many times, I'm sure you've seen this, Taranae, with criminals who've done that, I'm sure they wish they hadn't done it. Had somebody been there to help them think it through, talk it through, not go down that path, they would have. And I've seen this on 60 Minutes many a time. They go, I wished I had talked this through with somebody. I wish somebody had given me a better, criminals who've been finally gotten out of prison. They say, I wished I did have somebody to help me not make these terrible choices in life that I have made. So when we say you may have to call the police on someone, you may have to lock your door at night, you may have to do a suit, you may have to take the scissors away from the baby. The Course is not about what you do in the form, it's how you hold them in your mind. It is not about form, it is about content. So we need to get past that. That's what stops us all up. Well, people will say, well, should I call the police? Because that's not loving. Really? Really? Sometimes I think that is. To stop someone from harming themselves or others can be the most loving thing that you can do for someone. When a child says, I want to eat 20 pounds of sugar before I go to bed, what would any parent say? Oh, I'm going to let my child do it. No, of course not. Grandparents will do it, but that's because they give the kid back to the parent because they want to prove to the parent what you never should have done. But, what we need to remember is the Course is also about just plain common sense. As long as the Course would say, as long as you abide where you are not at home, you need to use just plain common sense. If you make a mistake, it always says in here, you will be corrected. You will be corrected. Don't worry about it. I think that we get caught up in, should I do this? And should I not do this? And what should I do? If you're sharing your mind with the Holy Spirit, frankly, first off, you need to do some preparation. And your prep work is every morning. You need to get up and say, Father, you be my eyes, my ears, my hands, my feet, my words. And then about 5 minutes later, you need to say that again because you will have already forgotten. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is you need to be very consistent in this dedication. And the way the Course gives you to be consistent is to do your workbook lessons. And the way I would tell you, if you are not doing your workbook lessons, is to get our free daily lesson email sent to your iPhone. Can I say this anymore? I think I said this last week, and I think I said this the week before. Do we have something near my shoulder right here now? No, Bill, you got to get me that. But you go to our website, daily lesson email, get that thing sent to you because we need this consistency. Because as we change our minds, we change the world. And unless we are we've got to, the Course is always telling us, we have to replace the lie with the truth. You got to bring the truth in and just replace it. Why is that? Because you believe in the lie. And you know the old saying, if you say a lie over and over again, it's still a lie.